Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. Appreciate you joining me. If you will, like, share, comment on the post, and then if you like, you can follow along in Jonah chapter 1 and verse number 6. And this is a really sad verse in many ways. If you think about what happens here, just refresh your memory. Jonah again has disobeyed God, rebelled against God's directive to go to Nineveh and to preach to the people there. Went to the port of Joppa, got on his ship, and now is headed, instead of to Nineveh, the exact opposite direction, to a place known as Tarshish. While they are on that trip, a great storm, God has sent a big storm along to redirect Jonah. And the sailors are afraid. They're hurling cargo into the sea, doing anything they can to protect the ship and ultimately to survive themselves. And then we come to verse 6, or actually the end of verse 5, when it tells us that Jonah had went down into the inner part of the ship and laid down and was fast asleep. Curious, I've read a few commentaries on this, or one in particular that I remember writing that Jonah was seasick was the reason that he went down and laid down and went to sleep. I don't see anything here that indicates that Jonah was seasick. Instead, I think what the passage indicates is that Jonah didn't care. Jonah was rebellious. He didn't care about the people of Nineveh. He didn't care about the people on the ship. He didn't care that that he was disobedient and rebelling against God. He went down with a clean conscience, thinking he had gotten away with it, that he had done nothing wrong, and laid down and went to sleep. As he laid there in that condition, Bible says in verse 6, so the captain came and said to him, what do you mean, you sleeper? Arise, call out to your God. Perhaps the God will give a thought to us that we may not perish. Again, as I said, kind of a sad verse in a couple of ways. One is, first of all, we have in all likelihood, a pagan captain. Again, we see that the sailors were all praying to their gods, little g, whatever god they chose to call on, and the captain comes down and says, arise, call out to your god, little g, just pick a god, any god, just pray. And what a real sad predicament here, what a sad place that Jonah has brought himself to, and that's what disobedience does in our life. It brings us, just continues to eat away and continues to bring us even lower. And here Jonah is having to be encouraged by a pagan to pray. Here the preacher, the prophet, is having to be begged, commanded, whichever one you want to choose, to pray. The heathen sailors were praying up a storm. They were begging their God, whoever again they prayed to, whatever God that was, as ineffective as it was, they were begging their God to do something. The prophet, the one who knew the true God, the one who was ultimately responsible for the storm in the first place, wasn't praying. He was asleep. Again, showing no concern for himself, for others, for the whole situation. That his rebellion had brought him to this point. One of the other things that Jonah has done here, or is doing, is he's missing an opportunity. Even though rebellion had brought him here, Jonah was in a situation where when he is called on to pray to your God, it appears that that he doesn't, or if he does, because we'll see as we move on that the very next verse says that they begin to cast lots to determine whose fault it was, and Jonah doesn't. Obviously, Jonah hasn't prayed. If he prayed, he didn't confess, he didn't repent, he didn't ask God to forgive him and remove the storm, and he'll go to Nineveh. Anything along those lines. It appears Jonah just simply didn't pray. It appears that he didn't stand up and confess anything, admit to anything, and that he didn't do anything here to do this. Even in a few moments when he does confess, admit that he is a Hebrew, that he does know God, even says that I fear God. He doesn't confess. He doesn't make any testimony. In fact, we'll see in a moment, rather than do any of those things, he says, throw me overboard. And so rather than go to Nineveh and preach the gospel, rather than tell these sailors about God, he tells them he serves God. And rather than use this opportunity that he has been, again, it's a bad situation, but rather than take advantage of this bad situation and admit his responsibility, admit his guilt, use it as an opportunity to tell these people about his God, he just says, throw me overboard. And again, we'll see that in the next few days. But it just reminds us this morning of just how far how far from God we can travel because of rebellion. Again, Jonah probably didn't think too much of it when he refused to go to Nineveh. He didn't think it was that bad, but again, now we see all the people that he has put in danger. Now the prophet is having to be begged or ordered to pray, refusing to do the job of a prophet before these sailors, all because he has put himself in this place of rebellion. My friends, just I hope this sad story. We get caught up in the fish and all the little. It really is. It's a great story. But don't get so caught up in the great story that we miss the great lesson of the danger of rebellion, those that we put in danger because of our rebellion, and just how far rebellion will take us. And I may not get this right, but I've seen this penciled in front of a lot of Bibles. It says, sin will take you further than you want to go, keep you longer than you wanted to stay, and cost you more than you wanted to pay. That is the price of rebellion and sin. You think about that today. Have a good one, and I'll see you here tomorrow morning.